Hey everybody, I was given a tip that Facebook no longer lets you download your own videos, so I wanted to test that out. I wanted to see if that's actually true. Does Facebook no longer allow you to download your own videos? We'll see. I'm going live because I want to create another podcast opportunity, and whether or not this allows me to download it, I'll let you know. As always, if you're seeing this, please feel free to participate by putting anything you want to say in the comments, and I'll do my best to watch for those conversations for anything that might come up. I want to talk today about invitation, about inviting people to things. So I will tell you a little bit more. I'll give you a little bit more context about that. But in the event that I actually can download my own video here, I'm going to do it as if I were recording a podcast. So I'm going to do the countdown and all the stuff I normally do. As always, as I said before, please feel free to participate. I will watch for the comments. So with that, 3, 2, 1. Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 200 of Circle Up and Get Real. This is the 200th episode. I think that's not quite accurate because I had a couple that I called like number 21B. I think early in this podcast's life, I had a little challenge with keeping track of all of the episodes. So we might have more than 200, but this is actually numbered, episode number 200. And I want to talk today about inviting, about the whole concept of invitations. So I, many years ago, was at a workshop in Minneapolis put on by Dick Richards, who was a guest on my podcast a couple of weeks, maybe a couple months ago now. And his whole concept was that we have a name for our genius, the part of us that is unique to us. And it's an ing word and a noun. And so I was in this workshop all day long in Minneapolis, and you have to try on different names when you put them on little sticky notes. And then you walk around the room and see if that resonates with people or if it resonates with you. And I remember after a lot of work that morning, figuring out what lights me up, what kinds of things that I enjoy doing, I came up with a label called Inviting Dialogue. And I thought that was it. That is it. I love this because for me, it's all about inviting people into the conversation. I was very clear that it was dialogue and not discussion. Suspending previous assumptions in order to learn from each other, which is the definition of dialogue I like to use. And I was feeling really good about this. It wasn't the first name tag I'd had on during the day, but I felt like I landed on this one. And so I was walking around, and one of the guys in my class looked at my name tag and said, Inviting Dialogue. He said, oh, let me think about that. He said, the only feedback I have for you is, what if you invite people and they don't come? I don't think it's inviting. I think it's another ing word. And back then, when I was new to my, self-awareness and personal development journey, the first thing I thought was, he's right, I'm wrong. I need to change it. I have the wrong answer on the test, kind of. That was the mindset I was in then. And I remember sitting on that for a while and thinking, if it's not inviting, what would it be? If I don't want to invite people into a dialogue, what would it be? Convincing? Would it be persuading? What would it be? And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, no, my genius is the invitation, is inviting people. Whether or not they accept the invitation is not my thing. And the more I sat with that and the more I held on to that, the feeling of that, the more I knew that was it for me. Inviting dialogue, that's my genius. And over the years, I've revisited that as I've had events or I've looked for new clients. I've had to remind myself that my genius is in the inviting, not in whether they accept the invitation. And so I started thinking about that distinction, the invitation and the acceptance of the invitation. That's two different things. And I can see how in my past I've gotten those two convoluted in some ways, where I have thought that the acceptance of the invitation is more important. So I got into a different energetic space. And my energy in the inviting was more pushy and more trying to convince and more of the hustle and grind. So it was less about actually inviting somebody and more about forcing them. because I was attached to whether they'd say yes or not. And I can think of specific examples of bringing speakers to Fargo and wanting to invite people to come and thinking I was putting out the invitation, I'd love to have you attend this. But the energy in the back of my mind was, you have to come because I'm bringing this guy in and I'm going to lose money if you don't come. I know it was out of desperation. I know it was. And I think back to one of those events. I did many back in the day. I had many times I'd bring people here. But a friend of mine actually said, let me send the invitation. And when he sent the invitation, there was no attachment. For him, there was no attachment. It was just, hey, this sounds like a great event. I'd like to help Jodee promote it. Come if it resonates with you. And that made all the difference. People came. They didn't feel energetically pushed or convinced. And I have noticed over the years, as I've been in the lows of my business, where maybe the business wasn't happening the way I wanted it to, I think in looking back, my energy changed from an invitation to a push or a convince or a make or a force. And I tried to say it nicely or tried to make the email or whatever it was that I was inviting with sound non-threatening. But I think the energy I was putting out there created some sort of angst. And so as I'm in the middle of creating another event, our chill out retreat, I'm really aware of the distinction for me between inviting and the offering of the opportunity to people and how distinct that is from whether or not they say yes. I still have in my mind what I believe would be the outcome for the person I'm inviting, because I'm inviting people personally in many cases where I think this would be a super great event for you. I think there are people you'd meet, people you would resonate with. I would love to see you at this event is how I'm inviting when I'm doing it in person. But not everybody's saying yes. And it's okay. It really is okay. Because if it doesn't resonate, I am in no way interested in convincing people of anything anymore. How do I know? How do I know anybody's circumstance or anybody's situation or anything that's going on with them? How do I think that this event or this class or this, I don't know, this whatever I'm inviting somebody to is what they need right now? I would be attached if I did that. Attachment leads to disappointment, in my experience, in my understanding of the distinction between attached and committed. I'm committed to this event. I'm committed to this chill out event being an amazing experience for the people who are there. And I will do everything in my power to set the stage so that people can connect and be present in the opportunities that will be presented there. But I have no attachment to whether or not they come, to whether or not they get my intention for the event. I can't be attached anymore. I am just committed to my gut telling me that the right people will be in that room. And that goes back to the principles of open space, which I've become a big fan of. If you're not familiar with open space technology, it's a way of having meetings where the agenda is set by the participants. And that sounds a little squishy, but if people are part of the creation of something, it's harder for them to not get engaged. So one of the principles of open space is whoever's here is the right people. And last year, as I was introducing the event, at the event, that came to me. I didn't script that. That just came to me. And I said to the people in the room, whoever's here is the right people. Whenever it starts is the right time. Whatever happens here is the only thing that could have, given the people who are here and the topics we're going to talk about. And when it's done, it's done. It's pretty hard to be open about things when you have a rigid agenda. And this happens from this time to this time. This needs to happen. There's an attachment to that rigid agenda that I have always struggled with, haven't always known why. As I get to know myself better, I understand that creativity flows for me better without a lot of restrictions, without a lot of timelines, without a lot of have-tos. And my work is better when it is freer. So in this event, this chill out event, it won't be for everybody. It won't be. It can't be. Yet when it feels right to someone who wants to be in that room where people are sharing ideas, where there is a lot of camaraderie and not a lot of posturing, it will be a chance for people to really truly connect with people's beings, not only just with what they do. I saw it last year. It was an experiment last year. This year, I'm working not to be attached so that I will be disappointed if it's not exactly like it was last year. That's in my energy. I'm working to be present. I'm allowing myself the freedom and flexibility to be my real true self, and at the same time, it's a business. I mean, it's a business expense. I have reservations at the hotel. I have, things in place that have money attached to them, I guess. So I do, if the event's going to be successful, people have to come. So at some point, there will be a line in the sand. I mean, this is when we're cutting it off, and this is how many people we need to have it happen. I mean, it's going to happen. It's just that it would be great if there were more people than last year. But if not, it is what it is. I'm so unattached to the specifics of it because I'm so committed to the experience of it. And for me, that's a distinction that has been a long time coming. It's taken me a long time to get to that place where I can allow things to be what they are instead of thinking I have to drive them to be what I think they should be. And this is such a great example of that, this event. It's going to be at the Radisson, downtown Fargo, February 28th, 29th, and March 1st. There's a lot of opportunity for people to experience something that might be distinct from what they expect it to be and from something that they've been to before. The topics will be very interesting to some people, maybe not to some, and that's okay because I'm not trying to be for everybody. I'm looking to make connections myself with people who think like I do, who have a heart for service like I do, who are interested in creativity like I am. I'm really interested in connecting people who share in common curiosity, awareness, conscious leadership, and those kinds of topics. And that's all about the invitation, not about whether they accept it. So if you see a social post coming up on LinkedIn, or I might even venture into those other TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram areas, just know it's coming from a pure place. It's coming as an invitation, not as a mandate. It's coming because I believe that the people who have ears to hear will hear. And the people who are interested and curious will dig in a little deeper. That's the event. That's what the event will be like for people. And it's really difficult to talk about that without having people experience it. So think about that for yourself when you're making an invitation. Are you making an invitation or are you giving an order? Are you more committed to the outcome or are you more attached to how you get there? Those are all things I've had to work through as I've been holding events. In fact, there was a time when I said I'm never having another event because for 4 years in a row I had this, I thought was a great event, the Bigger Small Talk Summit. But I lost money every year because I wanted it more for people than they apparently wanted it for themselves. So I would say to people, sure, just come. Oh, yeah. Oh, you can only pay $50. Okay, well, I ended up holding the bag at the end. I ended up losing so much money on those events because I had hard expenses, but I wanted people to experience it so much that I started giving people the impression that money wasn't important. And it is. Money is important. Value is important. An exchange of something for something else is important. So for me, the invitation is more important now than whether people accept it. So if you see this out there in any kind of social post, know that I'm inviting you. I'm not making you do anything. But if it resonates with you, please take action because insight without action makes no difference. And if we want to make a difference in the world and we want to live into a world that is of our own design, we have to start taking action in new ways. And this is an opportunity to do that. So that's what I've got today, episode 200. I'm really excited to see whoever will be there. And for everybody else, as always, just get real. Step into your own greatness and get real. Talk to you again. Thanks, everybody.